Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So we're going through the orgy of genocidal, suicidal cuts that the new gaggle of reactionary Republicans who oppose the child labor laws. Man, this is back to essentially back to the 1920s, right? We're on our way back to the Dickensian world of the 19th century with these people. They told us they wanted to live in the 18th century. They really want to live in the 19th, right? The era of primitive accumulation. The cuts in the federal agencies, just that they're listed here in the Washington Post of today, Friday the 21st. This amounts to about 15,000 federal jobs, right? Jobs, cut them, destroy them. 389,000 kids thrown off Head Start, a lot of them black, a lot of them Hispanic. That undoubtedly plays a role for these people, right? The Republican voters don't have their kids in Head Start, that's for sure, except if they're so ideologized they can't tell whether they're coming or going. And then abolishing all these other agencies. And again, the Amtrak, that's suicide. U.S. Agency for International Development, that's genocide. So par for the course. Ryan emerges, even though Ryan is a raving reactionary, compared to the fury of these ultra-reactionaries, he is a moderate. He says he only wants to cut $60 billion from the current budget, and that means only 15% from the various federal agencies. And we also learn that that the reactionaries say that the cutting of the $100 billion right now is only a down payment. That would be on the way to cutting more. They want to cut not 30%, but 40%, almost half of the domestic discretionary budget of the United States. If you're a federal worker, you're going to get pay freeze for 5 years. Obama, craven, treacherous, stab in the back. Obama has frozen federal pay for 2 years. Reactionary Republicans want to extend that to 5. The reactionary Republicans want to cut civil service by 15% through attrition over the decade, and they want to prohibit federal workers from serving as union officials on government time. And with this, they say they're going to save $2.5 trillion. Well, as Brüning found out in Germany between 30 and 32, and as Schwarzenegger found out in California just over the last couple of years, the more you cut, the bigger your deficit will be. Because when you have a deflated, destroyed private sector, destroyed by the bubble panic, the derivatives panic of 2008, then the role of government spending becomes so central that it's the basis of most economic activity. And when you begin to cut that, it's not that you get the reflowering of the private sector; you just get bigger and worse government deficits. So that's the reactionary program. Now, the Republican answer to Obama will be given by this Ryan. Now, the Republicans, of course, have they've got their House bill to repudiate the Obama health plan. No, why not proceed through a series of changes? Get rid, by all means, of that individual mandate, but move the entire thing towards Medicare for all. Cut out the private insurance companies, remove them and their golden parachutes. Make available, without coercion, anybody who wants it gets Medicare for all, $100 per person per month with generous allowances for destitution, unemployment, old age, children, and so forth. Now, what is Obama going to do? I'm trying to find out what the leaks are on the State of the Union, and I haven't succeeded too well, except from some weeks back, we knew that Obama is likely to do one or two things. An attack on Social Security is certainly very possible. Watch for Obama to attack Social Security in some way, to propose adding more years before you can get your pension, cutting benefits, doing something, certainly not lifting the tax on super rich so that the amount paid in can increase, because right now the income of the wealthy is shielded from the Social Security payroll tax, the FICA tax, by this this cap, which is about $107,000, I believe. Obama's not going to do anything to increase the viability of Social Security. He wants to destroy it. Remember, he's the anti-Franklin D. Roosevelt. He's not FDR. He's the anti-FDR. So an attack on Social Security, quite possible. And given the constant brouhaha of the reactionaries, something about tax reform, something about, for example, lowering the corporate income tax, which is a mockery, right? They don't even pay it, but they don't even like to have to avoid it. They want to be able to simply not be concerned with the corporate income tax. And I think we had statistics in the past week that the corporate income tax used to provide 30 to 40% of the revenue of the United States government, and it's now down to 10%. Hardly anybody pays it anymore. Now, the other interesting thing, we have this guy, Howard Feynman, who has some contacts in the Obama White House, and he's asking them, what's the State of the Union going to be? And we're told these words, Sputnik 2. Sputnik. Well, remember, October 1957, when the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit around the Earth, the U.S. went bonkers. And the question was, how is it that those backward Soviets with their peasant economy are so far ahead of the U.S. that they can do something that the U.S. couldn't do? And then we're stories, well, it's because our warheads are miniaturized and we didn't build rockets that would be big enough to go into orbit. The Soviets can't miniaturize, so therefore they have to build the big, dirty nuclear weapons and put them on big, powerful rockets, which we don't have. This was a great moment for the United States. In a certain way, it saved the country for 10 or 20 years at the very least, because it led then to a deep soul-searching, the stagnation of the United States, what's wrong with the education system. Progressive education, permissive education follows what the kids say they like, but what if what they like is not what the country needs to survive? So we've got to assert what the country needs to survive. And that then led to the National Defense Education Act by my friend, the late Senator Ralph Webster Yarborough of Texas, NDEA. I went to graduate school at one point with an NDEA fellowship, and it was heavily weighted towards science, math, chemistry, physics, and the rest of it. And it essentially kept the United States scientific base going for another 10 to 20 years. It's one of the things you can say. When the Soviet Union was strong, living standards in the United States were a whole lot better than they are today. Educational opportunity, upward mobility, all much better in the U.S. when the Soviets were strong. So, what is Obama going to say about Sputnik 2? We don't know. All we know is this slogan. Now, Obama is reliably reported he's not going to propose new tax revenue. He's going to propose budget cuts. He's capitulated, of course, to the Republicans because he's an oligarch like them with some left cover, but that's increasingly frayed. He now, as many leftists have noticed, his goal is now re-election at any cost. He's willing to give up anything to get reelected. He's likely to have budget cuts, but then something about education. Obviously, with President Hu of China coming to the White House this week, not much in terms of content around that Hu visit, but remember, 2025. By 2025, the Chinese will have passed the United States in nuclear energy. They will probably be on the moon. The United States will be nowhere, flat-footed. There is going to be a Sputnik moment sooner or later. We just have to suspect, though, that Obama is demagogically going to try to milk this term for short-term political benefit and then violate it in practice. Back in a minute.